Good morning, everyone. Today is August 10th, 2020, and this is your coronavirus update. Today I want to talk about something that I've been following for about a month now. It's a situation that's developing in Kazakhstan. The title of this video is Kazakhstan, Is a Red Dawn Rising? As many of you may or may not know, about a month ago, there was some news articles discussing Kazakhstan, and since then it's disappeared. It reminded me of when I first noticed the coronavirus articles in early January. Something told me to follow it, and I did. And on January 31st, I predicted the lockdown, I predicted the pandemic, and I tried to warn people. I wish that more than 180 or so people had seen that video. But this here is another potential problem that we could see down the future. Now, I know a lot of people saw the original articles about Kazakhstan and what's going on there. And I figured that this might be a good opportunity to kind of show everyone what I have investigated and found. Perhaps by the end of this, you might agree that there may possibly be something there. So let's get started. So back in June. So back in June, on June 25th, the Kazakh capital reports a surge in pneumonia cases. Pneumonia cases in the Kazakh capital have surged amid the novel coronavirus outbreak. Doctors are finding some 600 people a day with pneumonia symptoms, up from about 80 a day before the coronavirus outbreak. Every day, 350 to 400 patients are hospitalized in the city with either COVID-19 or pneumonia, she said, adding that the numbers of daily confirmed cases of COVID-19 averaged 150. So basically, there's 200 to 250 cases of pneumonia popping up every day. This is back in June. And they're not testing positive for COVID-19. So this came out. I didn't see this originally. It wasn't on my radar. But what happened then is what really freaked everybody out. This was on July 9th, 2020. This is translated from Chinese. I took the PDF, so this is the PDF. And I'll read it real quick. According to media reports in Kazakhstan, the incidence of pneumonia in Attribution, Tob, and Shmikin, I'm not even going to try to pronounce these cities, I apologize, has increased significantly since mid-June, or provinces, whichever these are. Up to now, nearly 500 people have been infected in the three places, and more than 30 people are critically ill. In the first half of this year, non-new crown novel coronavirus pneumonia in Kazakhstan resulted in 1,772 deaths. In June alone, there were 628 deaths. So what they're basically saying is, since the first half of the year, 1,772 people have died from pneumonia that did not test positive for the novel coronavirus. In June, it was 628. So more than a third of those were only in June, including Chinese citizens. Now, this is a press release from the Chinese embassy in Kazakhstan. The Ministry of Health and other institutions in Kazakhstan are conducting comparative studies on the pneumonia virus, and it has not yet been clearly determined. The Chinese embassy in Kazakhstan reminds Chinese citizens in Kazakhstan to pay attention to the above-mentioned situation and effectively raise awareness of prevention and reduce risk of infection. Pay close attention to information released by the Kazakh government and the Chinese embassy and consulate in Kazakhstan. Do not spread rumors, believe in rumors, or spread rumors. Well, China doesn't like spreading rumors, I guess. Take precautions, minimize going outside in public places, pay attention to personal protection and hand hygiene, maintain good hygiene and healthy habits, wear masks when going out, wash hands frequently, disinfect frequently, and ventilate frequently. So they're basically warning their citizens in Kazakhstan that, hey, there is this potential virus that's not testing positive for COVID-19, that's killing people in Kazakhstan, so be aware of the situation. That's what they told their people. So immediately we start seeing articles like this. Unknown pneumonia, deadlier than coronavirus, sweeping Kazakhstan. Chinese embassy warns. Now this was on July 9th, the same day that they posted that release. So of course, the internet blows up. And this is what I first originally saw. I saw this unknown pneumonia, deadlier than coronavirus, sweeping Kazakhstan, and I decided to dig into it. So, statement from the embassy warns that the death rate is much higher than coronavirus and says local authorities have yet to identify the cause. Now, this press release right here, the next day, the Chinese embassy altered it and took out some of this verbiage, which is why it's not in here at the moment. The Chinese embassy in Kazakhstan has warned of a deadly unknown pneumonia after the former Soviet Republic reported a spike in pneumonia cases since June. Let's go down here. All of that is irrelevant. Here we go. Kazakhstan announced a state of emergency on March 16th to tackle the spread of COVID-19. The lockdown was lifted on May 11th, but restrictions and quarantine measures have been reimposed in some areas following the surge in pneumonia cases. He added, the country was in fact facing the second coronavirus wave, coupled with a huge uptick in pneumonia cases. Coupled with a huge uptick. So the minister is basically saying, or the president is basically saying that they're two different things. Interesting. So, these articles come out. They start freaking everybody out. Everybody starts seeing it, and they start going nuts, right? So, let's see here. Next day, boom. This comes out. Kazakhstan denies Chinese report that the country is dealing with an outbreak of pneumonia deadlier than coronavirus. The Chinese embassy in Kazakhstan Thursday warned citizens in the Central Asian country about an unknown pneumonia. Well, they denied the Chinese report, right? This came out, and this is what everybody read. But when you're looking at these things, what you need to do is you need to be able to read between the lines. You need to read more than that. So let's go down. Officials in Kazakhstan are denying claims from Chinese officials that an unknown pneumonia with a mortality rate much higher than the coronavirus is sweeping through the country. So the officials in Kazakhstan, now, first line of this, have denied the claims. I have a feeling that most people stopped reading at that moment. But if you continue down, on Friday, Kazakhstan Health Ministry, in a statement, denied the outbreak was new or unknown, acknowledging only the presence of viral pneumonias of unspecified etiology, meaning they acknowledged only the presence of viral pneumonias of unspecified causes. Sounds a lot like unknown. The Ministry of Healthcare of the Republic of Kazakhstan officially declares that this information is not consistent with reality, in caps. The statement included an image that branded a story about the embassy's warning as fake news. So obviously, that is why people stopped paying attention. They said, oh, it's fake news, we don't even have to pay attention to it. Kazakhstan said China had misinterpreted the statistics characterizing suspected but unconfirmed coronavirus deaths as being the result of an unknown pneumonia. So basically what they're saying is that they have a feeling that these are COVID cases, which I pray they are, COVID cases. And the Chinese government misinterpreted it, saying that these deaths are the result of an unknown virus. Minister Alki Soy discussed a number of pneumonia cases across the country during a briefing on Thursday. The cases include different types of bacterial, fungal, and viral pneumonia, including some of unspecified etiology. He said that registered cases of pneumonia in the country had increased by 300% in June compared to the same time in 2019. So basically, what the Kazakh government said was not that this outbreak wasn't occurring, but they denied that it was new or unknown. They denied the fact that it was sweeping the country and that they had lost control of it. They didn't deny the fact that this outbreak was occurring. They actually acknowledged the fact that this outbreak was occurring. So, what's going on? Why is it that nobody's paying attention to this? Because Kazakhstan denied it, and nobody even understands what they denied. They just chalked it up to fake news, misinformation, all this stuff that is creating all of this misinformation out there, which is why it is important for you to read between the lines. So, let's ask, what comes next? Well, this was on July 10th. July 10th is when this was published. Next, here we go. July 10th, 2020. World Health Organization's Ryan says pneumonia in Kazakhstan is on our radar. So the World Health Organization states that, let's see. Mike Ryan, head of the World Health Organization's emergency program, said on Friday that an outbreak of pneumonia in Kazakhstan, reported to be highly lethal, was, and I quote, certainly on our radar. But he also said it was possible it might be COVID-19. It might be. Definitely. So, moving on. What is this? This is on July 14th, 2020, and the WHO is deciding to send a team to Kazakhstan to investigate mysterious pneumonia. The mystery pneumonia that's killing a bunch of people and infecting a bunch of people there. That's interesting. Why didn't anybody hear about this? Why wasn't this on the news? Why? Because it's fake news. A team of experts from the World Health Organization is to be sent to Kazakhstan to investigate the cause of the sharp rise in pneumonia cases in the country. Kazakhstan has seen a dramatic increase in both COVID-19 infections and severe pneumonia cases in recent weeks. The latter often presented negative PCR test results for the coronavirus. Over 40,000 people were recently stated to be undergoing treatment for pneumonia around the country, 31,000 of them with negative COVID-19 results. That's 31,000 people who have tested negative out of 40,000 people. 75% of the pneumonia cases in Kazakhstan are negative for coronavirus. 415 patients were said to have died in the week ending on July 5th alone. More than the country's entire official coronavirus death toll to date. So how many people are dying of pneumonia that aren't being chalked up to dying with the COVID-19? That's really the ultimate question. Is this virus, this unknown pneumonia, this unspecified pneumonia, these negative tests, are they actually the coronavirus, or are they something much, much different? Something possibly scarier, something that might even be a completely different form of virus, maybe not even a coronavirus. What if it's an influenza virus? What if it's a bacteria that's a superbug and resistant to antibiotics? These are all possibilities. Last week, when the Chinese embassy in the country published a warning about the unknown pneumonia with a much higher fatality rate than COVID-19, the embassy later reworded its statement following a denunciation by the Kazakh authorities of the story as fake news. I think it's too soon to make any hurried conclusions. Yes, the number of pneumonia cases has increased since the start of June. and we have been asked to get to the bottom of the situation. The Ministry of Health is also busy doing the same. These reports attract a lot of attention in the media, but it's our job to gather and analyze information before we come to any conclusions. Perhaps some of the patients sought medical help late and they have pneumonia symptoms, but were not yet able to detect the presence of the virus. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because from all of the studies in the medical journals I've read, people who are severely ill and are in the hospital with pneumonia shed a lot of the virus, and they should definitely test positive. We know that sometimes there can be what are known as false negative results. The WHO will also be sending a group of experts in the area of laboratory testing. We do not yet have all of the information. This is what the World Health Organization stated on July 14th, 2020, when they decided to send a team of investigators to Kazakhstan to investigate the mystery pneumonia. They're investigating the mystery pneumonia. So there's obviously something there, and it obviously wasn't fake news. So the question is, what is it? And what's going on? So next, this is on the 17th of July, 3 whole days later. The beginning of this really doesn't talk about anything important, but here we go. In an official statement approved on July 17th by Kazakhstan and the WHO on COVID-19, the Kazakh Ministry of Healthcare came out with a new set of standards on recording and generating relevant data on the pandemic. Laboratory confirmed cases of COVID-19 will be combined with cases of pneumonia that show a negative PCR test result, but with symptoms that indicate the clinical and epidemiological signs of COVID-19. So my question is what are these signs? What are these symptoms? Is it cough, fever, shortness of breath? Is it they have the ground glass in their lungs with the CT scans? What are these signs? Kazakhstan, as in most countries, only laboratory confirmed cases of COVID-19 were recorded. However, in June, an increase in viral pneumonia was noted without a specific identifying pathogen. That is, it remained laboratory unconfirmed, meaning they don't know what virus is causing it. Going forward, the COVID-19 incidence rate and mortality statistics will be generated from two primary data sources: laboratory confirmed COVID cases and cases of unspecified viral pneumonia. A full transition to the COVID-19 coding using the new international classification codes will be carried out by August 1st of this year. So basically what they're saying is they are going to be taking both of these and lumping them into one, and that's going to be the COVID cases for Kazakhstan. The ministry believes that this adaptation of the World Health Organization recommendations on international classification for diseases will become an example for other countries to follow. Meaning, if other countries start having pneumonia cases that don't test positive for the coronavirus, then they're going to lump them in with the positive cases as well. This process goes hand in hand with educating healthcare providers on the correct assignment of the COVID-19 codes when appropriate, and ensuring that the public understands the process and its implications. And then here are the key takeaways, right? Now, in this whole thing, just check this out. There is no new dangerous infection in Kazakhstan. They're saying there's no new dangerous infection in Kazakhstan. All previously reported cases of undetected pneumonia will now be classified as COVID-19. Why? They were sending a team 3 days ago, and now they're deciding to lump everything in. There's 31,000 cases of pneumonia without COVID-19 positive test results. So how have they, in less than 3 days, been able to figure out that it is actually COVID-19? But hey, guess what? The WHO classification, they're now going to be classified as COVID-19. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. Kazakhstan will continue to work closely with the World Health Organization. Wonderful. That's wonderful. That's awesome. That's sarcasm. A complete transition in Kazakhstan to the new COVID-19 coding international coding system will be carried out from August 1st of this year. It's August 10th, folks. This is about to get interesting, right? In Kazakhstan, there is no new... In Kazakhstan, get this. In Kazakhstan, there is no new explosive increase in the COVID-19 epidemic and a critical increase in new cases of disease. The sharp uptick in the country's COVID-19 rating is due to the technical redefinition of pneumonia cases to the new WHO classification system of being COVID-19. The introduction of quarantine has stabilized the situation with the incidence of COVID-19 in the country. At present, the increase rate in new cases remains at a stable 1,700 to 1,800 per day. That is what they stated. So what they're doing here is they're preparing for there to be the sharp uptick in the country's rating is due to the technical redefinition of pneumonia cases. Well, this is on July 17th. They're not going to have that big increase in cases until August 1st. So what they're doing is they're padding it, and they're putting the information out there, so when people find it, they go, oh, look, they already told us. This is a cover-up. This is a classic cover-up. And what I find interesting is these takeaways, right? Kazakhstan will work closely with the World Health Organization. Doesn't it kind of feel like their hands being forced? There is no new dangerous infection in Kazakhstan. Really? You've been there 3 days. How do you know that? You don't. Now check this out. On the same day, right? The 17th, Kazakh president stresses transparency of COVID-19 pneumonia stats. Check this out. In addition to coronavirus, pneumonia cases create damage to the health and life of citizens. The president said the public should have access to all data concerning the country's epidemiological situation. The more transparent the statistics are, the faster the country can defeat the epidemic. At a government meeting on July 10th, Kazakh Health Minister Alexei Soy said that 98,546 non-COVID-19 pneumonia cases had been recorded since the beginning of the year. They've recorded 98,546 cases of pneumonia that tested negative for COVID-19. That's a lot of false negatives. You have to have a huge problem when 75% of the patients in the hospital have pneumonia and they're not testing positive for COVID-19. That's a huge testing problem. That's worse than the weatherman. Way worse than the weatherman. What I find interesting here is on this date, on the 10th, they had 98,546 non-COVID pneumonia cases. July 10th. Here's Kazakhstan. This is what they have so far. It's August 10th, 99,442. On July 10th, they only had 24,490 cases, which means there's 3 times as many cases of pneumonia as there are coronavirus. And then what about the deaths? Who knows how many deaths there are? Check this out. Interestingly enough, July 10th, July 14th, July 9th, right around this time, that's when the COVID-19 numbers started to decline. Now they're all the way down to 872 cases as of yesterday. That's interesting. What's even more interesting is this daily death chart. Has anybody seen a death chart that looks like this? I mean, really, it was up, up, up. I mean, yes, these are 1s, 2s, and 3s, but look, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. Oh, what's this? 31, 30, 29, 29, 29, 28, 28, or 38, 38, 38, 30, 37. What the hell's going on here? What's going on? The last registered deaths was on August 2nd. People no longer dying in Kazakhstan. Is this outbreak no longer a problem? This just seems fishy. Now, check this out. This here. This is the Kazakhstan daily update. 99,442, 1,058 deaths. It's stayed the same since August 2nd. They haven't reported any new deaths. But look at this. Data on pneumonia with signs of COVID-19. 13,280, 164 deaths. What's going on? They split it up. They split up the numbers. The Ministry of Health issued the number of cases of pneumonia per day, but did not enter into the main statistics. Sounds like Kazakhstan is actually being transparent. They're actually being transparent. This was on August 2nd, the day after that they were supposed to lump them all in together like the WHO recommended. Kind of makes sense as to why these seem so different. This sounds like a threat, like their hands being forced. They're forcing them to adapt this and cover up the truth about the viral pneumonia that's taking place in Kazakhstan. Right here, this is the president saying that he's not going to cooperate. And then lo and behold, here we are. The Ministry of Health issued the number. They're not lumping them all in together. They're telling people how many people are actually testing negative, have pneumonia, and how many of those people are dying. I give them kudos. I completely appreciate the fact that they're doing this and being as transparent. If other governments were like this, other organizations were like this, we wouldn't be having the problems that we're having. So check this out. Another 1,226 cases of coronavirus infection were confirmed in the country. In addition, the department announced the registration of 5,181 cases of pneumonia with clinical and epidemiological signs of coronavirus infection with a negative test for coronavirus. 30 deaths from coronavirus, 36 deaths from pneumonia were recorded. Since August 1st, the total number of infections has increased by only 1,226 and is at 91,593. The statistics of fatal cases of coronavirus on coronavirus2020.kz has remained unchanged since the beginning of the week at 793. Following the lifting of the state of emergency in May and the weakening of quarantine measures, the increase in patients increased. And in early summer, there was a surge in the incidence of pneumonia. According to official data, of the 234,187 cases of pneumonia registered in the country from January 1st to January 15th, or July 15th, of all types, bacterial pneumonia, viral pneumonia with specified pathogen, and pneumonia of unknown etiology, 32,000 were in June. 135,641 in the first half of July. That's 167,000 cases in 6 weeks. That I would call a huge uptick. I would call that an outbreak. I would call that dangerous. But according to the World Health Organization, there is no new dangerous infection. There's no new dangerous infection. So what's going on? What's up with it? Right? After the recommendations of the World Health Organization, the attention of international media to unknown pneumonia in Kazakhstan, and pressure from local activist doctors who demanded to stop the games with statistics. The ministry recognized pneumonia of unspecified etiology, from which thousands of people died in the country, a manifestation of the coronavirus, and promised to combine cases of coronavirus and pneumonia in national statistics from August 1st. So they recognized it, they started including it, but they're not lumping them together. They're not actually combining them into one, and I give them props for that. The rest of this article is pretty interesting, but there was nothing that really stood out to me. Moving on, here we go. Why is this important? This was an interesting read that I saw. This was on July 15th, which was right around the time all this stuff was kicking off. America should prepare for a double pandemic. I mean, there's been the possibility of another outbreak of another virus that could turn into a pandemic is very real. We have been lucky that we haven't had the types of outbreaks that we've had in the United States across the world like we're having now. But if you have the opportunity to read this article, I highly recommend it. It's very well put together, very good read. And it kind of explains even different times in history when there have been two pandemics going on at the same time and what that could mean for the world. So why is this important? Well, it's funny, this is July 15th, 2020, right? So nothing's going on in Kazakhstan, everybody. Don't look over there. Keep worrying about the politics, keep worrying about the masks, keep worrying about the cases and the deaths and everything in COVID-19. Don't worry about Kazakhstan. It's cool. It's just COVID-19. There's no big deal, right? Well, look at this. 3 days ago, Dr. Fauci just said the words about coronavirus you've been dreading. We are not through with the novel coronavirus quite yet. He also urged people to remember that this will not be the last time we encounter such a health crisis. I think you have to assume that there are more viruses that are still lurking, because we know historically we've had outbreaks long before I've been around, even before recorded history. Fauci later added that while he's worried about the trajectory of COVID-19, he's thinking about the next pandemic too. I tend not to be pessimistic, but I tend to be realistic about the phobies, I don't know what that is, I've never seen that word before, of our society and our human nature, he said. I think we're going to have outbreaks after this outbreak. Interesting. When you're talking about a respiratory infection that involves the entire planet, this is the most challenging and difficult public health crisis that we've faced since the global pandemic of 1918. But what we have here is an explosive challenge that essentially thrust itself upon us in a matter of months and has, in many respects, gripped the world like nothing else we've experienced in the past 120 years. However, that doesn't mean we won't see something like it in the future. Very interesting. Very, very prophetic. I am curious to see what will happen and how this is going to evolve over the past few months. And interestingly enough, this was 3 days ago, which was what, the 7th? August 7th? Well, check this out. Look at this travel advisory. This travel advisory was issued on August 7th, 2020. August 7th, 2020. The same day that Fauci said that what keeps him up at night is, respiratory infections that are highly lethal, and that he expects more pandemics and more outbreaks, and he thinks that it could very well happen. Here we are, the same exact day. Kazakhstan receives a level 4 do not travel due to COVID-19. And what's interesting about that is COVID-19 in Kazakhstan is on the downturn. They've locked down. They have They have it under control. I mean, geez, there's only 872 positive cases in the whole country yesterday. Meanwhile, it's a level 4, do not travel. Interestingly enough, on the Worldometer's ranking site, if you look at all of the countries and you rank them based upon new cases, we'll go to yesterday's data. New cases. Kazakhstan ranks number 26. Out of these 26, when I looked them up, it was number 28 the other day. But according to this, 13 of these countries that are having more cases than Kazakhstan every day. Wait, where do they rank now? Sorry about that. Kazakhstan, where are you? Here we are, 27. So it was 28. Out of the 26 that are above here, 13 of them are a level 3. Level 3 advisory. So why is Kazakhstan a level 4? As a matter of fact, there aren't any level 4s down this way that I could find, except maybe Pakistan. I think Pakistan might not even be one. So why is Kazakhstan number 27 in increased cases with the cases going down every day? Why are they a level 4? And why was that so conveniently issued on August 7th? I don't know what's going on here, folks. I don't know what's up with this. But this seems to be like it's going to be something big. I pray and I hope that this is just the coronavirus, and we'll see what happens. But if you have the ability to read between the lines and take a look, and instead of watching what the headlines say or the first lines of the article say, actually do your research and look into it, there's a lot more going on here that people don't know about. I hope this was helpful. If you have any ideas or information on what might be going on in Kazakhstan, especially with these unconfirmed cases of pneumonia, 3 out of 4 of the cases of pneumonia are testing negative for the coronavirus. How was the World Health Organization be able to figure out that they were all coronavirus in less than 3 days from sending out the team? Why is Kazakhstan not doing what they told the World Health Organization that they were going to do? Why are they not lumping them all together? Why are they telling the public exactly how many of these cases are not testing positive? There's too many whys. Not enough people are looking at this. Not enough people are looking into it. And this could be a huge problem for the world if it continues. If Kazakhstan and other countries started taking these cases and lumping them in with coronavirus cases, if this is a new virus, if it is a new bacteria, then it could actually fly under the radar and spread across the globe, and we would have no idea that it was different until it was too late. These are the issues, these are the problems, and these are the answers that we need. We need to answer these questions, we need to figure out what's going on, and we need to tell the people the truth. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a good one. Stay safe, and I hope this helped.